just check a few emails before we get our morning started. Let's see what we got here. What are you doing?
You want some coffee?
I still have my Starbucks from earlier.
Oh, well, that wasn't enough for me. I think I'm going to make some more.
Are you going to drink your whole Pit Boy thingy full of coffee?
Yep. So will you at least drink a third of a pot?
Yes, I'll drink a third of a pot of coffee with you.
Yay.
Oh, man. Hey, look, we got here, come here.
What?
We got an email from Santa.
What?
Yeah, I'm serious. Santa.
What? What?
That's really Santa's email address.
jollyoldkringle@gmail.com.
Well, what else would he use?
I don't know, but, like, he emails?
Let's click it.
He seemed, like, I'd imagine that's, like, outside of his... What?
Dear BFFs, I left something for you in your Amazon account. Merry Christmas. Why is your eye twitching?
What? This doesn't make any sense. But how?
Santa has magic. Look!
Die Hard?
And it says watch now, which means he rented it for us.
What?
It's true.
Well, I guess we're doing this then.
Yeah, but not looking like this. I mean, you look alright, but...
Thank you.
Alright, so let's just fix this real quick. 3, 2, 1. What? Why are you looking at me like that?
What just happened?
I used my magic powers.
You... What?
I have magic powers.
What?
You didn't know?
No.
It's magic Christmas powers.
What?
Yeah, I have magic Christmas powers.
This doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's Christmas.
I need my coffee.
Hold on, I got it for you.
What?
Ta-da!
What?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to drink this now.
It's perfectly good. It's the way you like it.
It is.
I told you I have magic powers.
This doesn't make any sense.
Why doesn't it make any sense?
I'm hallucinating.
You're not hallucinating. It's Christmas. Yay, Santa!
I'm scared.
Don't be scared.
Santa scares me.
Don't be scared of Santa.
Let's just get on with the review.
Hey everyone, welcome to a very special episode of BFF, a show where two best friends review movies because fan friction. We're your hosts, I'm Ashley.
I'm Joe.
And we're here to review Die Hard, because Santa asked us to.
Yeah.
Yay, Santa!
So, Die Hard came out in the 80s.
Yes.
It is an action movie starring Bruce Willis, and it is the first movie starring
Alan Rickman, yes.
It is... Especially in the past, like, 5 or 10 years or so, it's been really called a Christmas movie. And it is. It takes place around Christmas, and that's kind of a central theme point of what's happening and why they're doing their thing.
Yeah, and I've never seen this movie before, but I kind of feel like it's one of those things where, like, in the pop culture, referenced everywhere. So I feel like I've seen this movie, even though I haven't seen it.
Yeah. It's kind of, you already know some of the plot points. I don't think I've seen this movie in 20 years, practically. Like, maybe 1990 or 93 or somewhere around there, when it was on TV one afternoon on what was the equivalent of, like, Paramount?
Yeah.
Back in the Paramount channel back in the day.
Yeah, we're really dating ourselves with that reference. 20-Vision?
Yeah.
20
Well,
Vision.
it wouldn't be 20-Vision everywhere.
Yeah, it was called 20.
It was the Paramount Network, and back before it was UPN. UPN. But on the weekends, they'd show movies. Like, all weekend. That's all they'd do. They wouldn't have television programming, so they'd show movies. This was probably on at least once or twice in the background when I was at home, but I never sat and watched it.
I feel like I'm the only person that's never seen this movie.
So, we're going to go watch the movie.
We'll be back. And we're back.
So that was Die Hard.
Yep. I felt it was pretty slow paced from what I expected.
Especially for an action movie from the 80s, because that's kind of that's the generation we're most accustomed to when it comes to action movies.
Yeah.
And I can see why Alan Rickman became a household name after this movie.
He was so great.
Yes. His, oh my God, you're one of them, aren't you?
Yeah, when he's pretending to be a worker.
Yep, someone that works there.
His accent.
It's really great that neither accent that he used, which you could tell they were bad.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for his first movie, that's really good. But in general, it was just a fantastic movie. So
so great. And I loved when he was talking to Ellis. Mm-hmm. And Ellis is trying to act all smooth and cool 80s businessman. And it's like, oh, wow, you just really realized it now? Oh, it's just like all the subtle sarcasm.
Yeah. He's just like... The only person he actually seemed genuine with was
Holly.
Yeah, Holly.
Yeah.
Whenever she's like, look, we need bathroom breaks because it's going to start getting messy out there, and one of the people is pregnant. She's not about to have her kid, but if we don't get her off that stone floor and onto a couch or something, things are going to get bad.
Yeah, he seemed to have a lot of respect for her.
Yeah, because she wasn't demanding, like, them be let go, which is something that he'd probably be like, come on, are you kidding? We're not just gonna.
She wasn't crying or anything, which is what you might expect out of 1980s writing.
Yes.
She was just kind of like matter of fact, and she knew her husband was out there and he would figure out a way.
Yep. I really liked his back and forth with Theo, played by Gilliard something was his last name.
The guy from Walker, Texas Ranger?
Yes, but it's his name in the movie is Theo, and he's their safe cracker dude, who's always like, of everyone in this group, that character is the most psychotic.
Yes, I love it when we're introduced to him and you just see these two guys walking into Nakatomi Plaza and he's talking about
like a basketball game or something.
Yeah, and it goes for the shot and they shoot him in the head. It was so seamless, and it's like, okay, there's a lot of people gonna die in this movie.
It wasn't even that. It's after he shot him in the head, and Theo's just like, woo!
Yes.
Like throwing a, yes! It's good! But that, and then when he's being observation for them, when they're getting the missile launcher, the rocket launcher ready to hit the armored vehicle that's trying to bust into the plaza.
Yeah.
And he's like, I forget what he said, but it's just like, I'm listening to him talk about these cops in this armored vehicle get blown up by rockets.
As if it were a sports game.
Yeah, like commentary for a sports show. He's like, oh, and it's good. And I'm just like, what the heck?
Yeah, he was awesome.
He was the most 80s action movie. Like, if there was, like, one character who is all the 80s action movie tropes, it's Theo.
Yeah. He had all the kind of, like, one-liners or whatever, but obviously, besides the best one-liner,
Yippee-ki-yay,
Mother
Trucker.
Yes, Mother Trucker. We watched the cable version.
We didn't. But we're not going to say that because Santa wanted us to review this. So.
Yeah, Santa said that we had to keep it clean.
As clean as we can.
Yeah.
But it's just such a fun movie, and it's a blur of moments all together that lead up to stuff.
It's just so incredibly of its time, which for now it seems so outdated.
Lots of it does.
Yeah,
because they cut the phone lines early on. And there's no communication outside except for Argyle, who's got his freaking car phone.
His CB radio.
And he's got the car phone in the limo because he's like calling his girlfriend or something. And it's hilarious because he doesn't even realize anything's going on until towards the end.
Yeah, because he's chilling out, listening to music and...
Yeah, as he's locked into the...
He doesn't realize he's been locked in until later.
Yep.
And he's asking McClane all of these inappropriate questions when they're riding in the limo in the front together.
Yeah. First time riding in a limo. Oh, it's my first time driving a limo.
And he's going on and on about all the cool features. Yeah, it's got a cassette tape, car phone, CB radio, and I think he says something about CDs as well.
Yep. It's the late 80s.
Yeah, so that would have been cutting edge.
So the computer system that he used to break into this vault was hilarious because the monitor looked like a freaking calculator. It had like I'd imagine it's all just LCD, but it's the little like everything is in the like figure 8 digits, so it has to even make letters like B's look like 8s because it's just how it works.
Yeah.
I love that. The multi-lock system that like is nebulous and not really explained on how it works. It's just like apparently drills work, but they have to cut the power off so it opens and all sorts of other weird things.
And there were some other things that would definitely not fly today, literally, like when John McClane's getting his luggage and you see his piece.
The beginning of the movie, it's okay, I'm a cop, but are you an air marshal?
Yeah, because like I don't think you can bring a gun on the plane, especially nowadays.
Yeah, right?
And then the like all the smoking and buildings and then airports, and then like the comment about like the baby, like, you know, like that baby could tend bar. It's like, what? Did they not know about fetal alcohol syndrome?
Well, they did, because remember she was asking, like, do you think it'd be okay if I had a sip?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's the 80s, so they kind of brush it off as like more of a joke, but it is a thing, and it was a thing even then. Like, people knew about it as more what I mean.
But yeah, just like they're just so hilariously of its time.
There's other little things too that, like, if they ever tried to remake Die Hard, would just like leave plot holes and everything in this, like cell phones.
Yeah.
Cell phones are a thing now. It's really interesting because it was the late 80s. Was there not a wireless phone in that building?
I guess not.
Like a cordless? Because they existed. Cellular phones existed in the late 80s. They were just, you know, you needed a backpack.
Yeah, you had to have your little carrying.
Your satchel
with you.
I remember some other amazing parts. It's an overwhelming movie because it starts off really slow, but when it picks up, it never stops.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of the Christmas imagery here. The fact that it's at the Christmas party for this company, and then even the part in the end when he tapes the gun to his back is with Christmas packing tape, which is hilarious. The first guy he kills that he sends down the elevator, I have a machine gun now. Ho ho ho. Oh man. It was a great movie, but it's one of those situations where like I'm at a loss for what to talk about because what hasn't been said about this movie.
Yeah, we're obviously like the 400,000th people to ever talk about this movie, so what is there to say?
We need more action movies like this. It's reminiscent of a really strong trend in the 80s where you have this really strong first movie in an action franchise. What becomes a franchise. Maybe not what was originally intended to be a franchise. Die Hard, RoboCop, Terminator, Predator, all these movies. And then, Alien and Aliens, if you want to get technical, because Aliens is a different movie. But what becomes a franchise, and none of them are ever as good as the beginning. And it's not even the fact that they're sequels, because the sequel can be good.
Yeah, like in Terminator 2, that was really good.
Aliens
was really good.
But I don't know. I don't know what to go with, where to put my thumb on it, other than maybe the idea behind it was good.
And starting to replicate the idea?
I think it's more like look at television shows. The first season of many television shows are fantastic. Sometimes they'll even have a really good ending. Like, they're not cliffhanger endings. They're like, yeah, they get together at the end of the season, because some television shows probably don't expect to get picked up for more than one season. Or they don't want to be that television show that ends on a cliffhanger because they didn't get picked up for more than one season. So when the next season comes around, they blew most of their really good ideas on the first season.
Yeah.
What do they go from here? And I think that's part of the problem with like RoboCop or Die Hard is, where do you go?
Yeah, because it's such a contained story. Or it's basically a story of a few hours. This job gone wrong from the perspective of like Hans Gruber and his group, and then John McClane just happened to be there. So how many times can you just happen to be where the action is and it stay fresh?
It's an interesting concept, because I don't know why they're not as good, other than maybe some things don't need sequels.
Yeah.
But Die Hard is a beautiful movie. It's visually stunning.
Yeah.
The special effects are fantastic. The stunt work is fantastic. Oh my God, how much blood does John McClane have in his body?
Yeah, just the visuals were really impressive, and even though it was from 1988, it did not feel like it was
the trope-laden action movies of the 80s.
Well, no, it's just like the visuals didn't look out of place. You know how when you see a movie from that, from a past time period that looked fine when you saw it the first time, and then when you see it later on, it stands out really bad, or if you just happen to see a movie from the past for the first time and the visuals look really dumb. None of this looked dumb. Like, all the explosions looked real, all of the blood. I love that iconic scene where he's in the little shaft, and he's got the lighter, and it's like, that looks so cool. He's like all squished up there.
As a side note, also, I feel like this is one of the movies Hideo Kojima used to inspire Metal Gear Solid.
I felt like this inspired a lot of video games.
Yeah, a lot of that, other than the Die Hard video game we talked about, but a lot of those stealth action games, because John McClane is a one-man army practically. Yes. He is nearly indestructible, but even he has to use tactics and stealth. And I love how he's kind of second-guessing himself, because he's like, oh man, I should have taken the shot. Like, I gotta think. And, this is not, he's not some kind of, forced to be reckoned with, super militaristic, machine. He's just a regular guy that just happened to be at this party, trying to reconcile with his wife, and now he's got to think on his feet. And he's never encountered anything like this in New York before. Nope.
And then he does make a lot of comments about how weird Los Angeles is.
He does. That's the first 10 minutes of this movie. He's just like, California.
But and then maybe that's part of why some of the sequels don't resonate as well, because you can't capture that lightning in a bottle again of this man's never been in this situation before. He's,
That's part of what made it magical.
Mm-hmm. There's just a regular New York cop on the streets.
But yeah, what else can we say about this movie?
Well, I think the characters were really great. Mm-hmm. I loved Ellis, the cocaine hound.
Yeah, the typical 80s business guy.
Yes, he's such an idiot.
Yeah, he is. He thinks he can deal with these people.
Yeah, I settle $1 million business deals every day.
This is not even a big deal.
It's not even a big deal. I can go handle it. Let me just get some courage.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the hubris of that character where it's I can handle it, guys.
It's cool. I totally got it.
I'm good. Ugh. And when he's negotiating them, and John's trying to tell him, we don't know each other. Stop it now.
Ellis, tell them we don't know each other.
Don't know. They're going to kill you.
No, it's cool, good, John. We grew up with each other. We were in elementary school together, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, Ellis, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop lying. Stop telling him you know me.
Yes.
Because John knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. I thought he was going to sell out the fact that Holly was his wife. That's where I was expecting it to go. So I was surprised that it didn't go in that direction.
Well, at least then Ellis had that much of a backbone.
Yes.
Except for the fact that he was hitting on her at the beginning of the movie as well.
Yeah. And in her office doing cocaine.
Does he not have his own office to do cocaine in?
I don't know.
Oh, it was the 80s.
Yeah, and
the 80s.
Yeah, there was other great characters. The police chief.
Yep.
Played by everyone's favorite 80s principal.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Reginald VelJohnson before his character Carl moved to Chicago with the Winslow family and next door to Steve Urkel.
He's always playing a cop, isn't he?
It's like everything I've seen him in, he plays a cop.
I love the rapport that he and McClane had established, though. And
pretty early. Some of it seems out of place, though. Mm-hmm. When he's trying to find out why he was there, how he noticed. Mm-hmm. Reginald VelJohnson's character was I was just a desk cop on my way home. Mm-hmm. And then he forces out of him why he was a desk cop. And that's not something you do right now.
Yeah.
And that's where we get the I shot a kid moment of this movie.
But I love how his character's the only one that's I believe you, we gotta believe in him. And it's well, but the other guy had a point. It's you don't know. This guy could be one of them.
He could be.
It's well, I have a feeling this is the way he said things. He knew about the fake IDs and...
That's a cop thing, though. That's the gut instinct thing in cop movie, or movies that feature cops.
And then another great character was William Atherton as the smarmy newscaster.
He always plays such a jerk.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Did you get that? Like, anytime something horrible happened, did you get that?
Oh my god.
And he's the reason why Holly got taken hostage, because he had to go find out at the house.
Like, they start following his character as a side note early on in the movie. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe he's going to be like a redeeming character or a heroic character. Like, maybe him doing the news thing is going to help somehow.
Yes.
And then they don't. Where he even threatens the nanny of...
with INS.
With INS and all this crap. And it's just insane. Like, his character didn't need to be there, but I'm glad he was.
It kind of broke up the narrative a little bit and kind of not necessarily like lowered the stakes or anything. In fact, it raised the stakes, but kind of like, okay, we need to cut away for a moment. What's like the C story going on in this movie?
Yep. Which I guess is important. It's good to have that kind of stuff. And the C story that's relevant to the rest of the plot.
Because with a big thing like that, with the police all showing up, you would expect the news to show up as well, and just to kind of show you like the cutthroat business of the news from that era that hasn't really changed.
No, it's different now though. They'd be racing to beat bloggers to the punch. People that live in neighboring buildings with webcams.
Yeah, this is a great movie. It's fun. It is a little slower paced. It is of its time, but it's not so like far removed from our time where it's like laughable.
No.
It just kind of, there's a few dated things.
Yeah. Well, and it is out there action wise. There's a lot about this movie that's very laughable action wise. Like I pointed out earlier, how much blood does he have in his body?
Yes.
But it's not so laughable because he does stuff like feel pain. That's why I was saying at the beginning that John McClane is the action star we need, because he is an action star that takes hits and he keeps going, but the hits, you can tell that they hurt him.
Yeah, and just when you think like everything is all settled because Hans Gruber has fallen off of Nakatomi Plaza, now I get all those memes.
Yeah, it's not Christmas until...
And then like the one guy who should be dead because he was hanged.
Yeah. By freaking chains.
He should be dead.
How the heck did he get down?
Yeah, and then that's when Bell Johnson's character gets to redeem himself. Like, he's not just a desk cop anymore. He could use his gun and save everybody. So what would you rank this out of 10?
The movie itself? I'd put it at like a 9. I prefer a little more spectacle, but for what it's doing, it did it solidly and fantastically. So, yeah, 9.
I thought it was pretty solid. I'm going to go a little lower and go with an 8 because it was a little slow for me, especially I kind of expect more high-octane action.
From the 80s?
Yes.
Set
in the 80s. So, yeah, it was a little slow for me, but after that it really picked up the pace. I thought all the characters were awesome.
Yeah.
Even if some of the accents were a little cheesy, whatever. It was fun. Some of the technology was a little cheesy, like when he has to check in at the desk.
The little like
the kiosk.
Yeah, the computer.
Yes.
Oh, that's so bad. And we noticed that too. That like he goes in to check to find the person where they are, and that's when they're letting you know she's not going by her married name, she's going by her maiden name here. And it's a plot device. I get that. But he's like, oh, she's on floor 31. And then the guy who told him to check in is like, oh, floor 31? Yeah, that's the office Christmas party. They're the only people here.
Yeah, I think that was floor 30, but...
Whatever. Floor whatever.
Yeah, the only floor that's occupied.
The only floor anyone's on. And it's kind of like...
Why didn't you just say that?
Yeah. The only people here are on...
Wouldn't he have noticed that her name on her door was her maiden name?
I don't know. I don't know. It's supposed to let you know that this is an incredibly advanced building for its time.
Yeah.
I mean, it had touchscreen.
It's true. In the 80s.
In 88, touchscreen was a huge deal.
And he was making fun of it, too. It's like, this is dumb. Your toy's cute.
Right?
So, yeah, John McClane, old school.
Super
old school. So, we're going to go rewatch that footage, and we'll talk about that in the last segment. And we're back.
That was fun.
That was very long argument.
It was an interesting experience to revisit.
Yes. So the question was, happy birthday. In honor of the host's birthday, what is the best movie from the years of our births? And so the contestants had to choose between the 5 following years of 1974, 1983, 1988, 1990, and 1998, which represented everyone in the show's birthdays.
Yep.
So you had to choose the best film from any of those 5 years, which is pretty broad.
It is. There's a lot. Some of which I'm surprised no one chose, and I am directly offended by some of it.
All right, so Sam chose Die Hard, obviously, from 1988.
Ryan chose Goodfellas from 1990.
And Garrett chose Saving Private Ryan from 1998, which are the years that correspond to all of their births. Correct. I guess no love for our birth year.
I'm just bothered by Garrett's choice. No offense. Saving Private Ryan is a beautiful piece. But Big Lebowski's better. What? I don't care. It's a better movie. Fight me.
So, very interesting round.
That is no lie. There was a lot that was flung around and thrown around. And so, yeah, there were, 37 films?
That Sam said that he could have chosen, and he settled on Die Hard?
Yeah, there's a lot of movies from those years.
Yes.
And Die Hard is a great movie.
Yeah, Sam said it was the best action movie, the best Christmas movie, the best 80s movie, the best movie starring Bruce Willis, and the best movie of all time.
That's a bit strong. It's a good movie, and it's at least a good movie in all of those categories. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the best Christmas movie.
Some interesting points that were brought up. Sam was compelled to argue a scene that was better than the D-Day scene from Saving Private Ryan, and he said when Reginald Bell Johnson bought all those Twinkies.
I'm sure Sam was joking. I really hope you were joking, Sam. I really, sincerely, deeply hope you were joking. Because it's not a better scene. Arguably Saving Private Ryan is better than that. The whole movie is better than that one scene. This is just my opinion. It's one man's opinion. Garrett brought up that his movie was a masterpiece and the best war movie of all time.
A lot of things thrown at Die Hard. Garrett had said that John McClane should have died at least 98 times in the movie.
This feels like hyperbolic, but...
Which I forgot to bring up in the second portion of the show, but a lot of the movie reminded me of Home Alone.
Yeah.
So Home Alone was inspired by Die Hard,
probably a little bit. He
used to improvise a lot of things.
He did. But he had actual weapons too.
Yeah, and he wasn't an 8-year-old.
Defending his home.
Yes.
But yeah, he probably should have died a lot, but that's, again, indicative of 80s action movies.
Both Ryan and Garrett brought up the fact that this movie inspired a lot of bad sequels and clones.
But I don't think that's just on this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could say that about a lot of movies.
Yeah, any movie. Saving Private Ryan inspired a lot of bad movies. Probably birthing off of the war movie phenomenon and not realizing part of what made that movie so good was the director. And the cast. You can't just take a war movie and be like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, Sam had countered that argument by saying that Die Hard 2 and 3 were actually good movies. I don't know enough to judge,
We can't say anything to that. We've heard, was it 4 or 5 is a bad one?
I think that's what they said in the argument, too, like A Good Day to Die Hard and
another
one. And then going on the idea of the characters being unrealistic... both fighters had suggested that as well, where Ryan talked about John McClane being like an immortal action hero, much like a superhero.
Which he kind of was. He was just less so than the rest of the 80s action stars of the time. I mean, if you compare it to, if we're comparing to Avengers, other action stars are going to be like Thor and Hulk and Iron Man, and John McClane is Hawkeye. Still awesome, just not able to, take electro bolts to the face and walk away.
And it was also brought up that Hans Gruber was a bad villain whose character motivation was flawed because all he wanted was money.
That's a lot of them. That's a villain's motivation and also a villain's motivation in the 80s. Because, like, money is power,
yes.
or money is the ability to not, have to care about anything. But what makes him interesting isn't the fact that he only wants, all he really cares about is money. It's the fact that he literally has this whole plan laid out, ready to go. For, like, he's like, no, I want the FBI to show up. They're going to cut power and then we get our stuff.
Yeah.
So it's genius. So him being a very clever and quick-witted villain is what makes him a compelling villain.
So this is a very salty argument amongst the three of them.
Yeah.
Even in the summation part, people kept trying to get in one last word.
You gotta let the judge say his piece and
let everybody have their last
final
word.
Arguments.
Yeah. Yeah, so overall in Sam's last points, he talked about how Die Hard was a hilarious comedy. There was romance. It has the one-liners, and he quoted the one line. And in the summation, Jack basically said it was down to Die Hard versus Saving Private Ryan. But at the end of the day, what sold Jack was the fact that, like, Die Hard, he kind of viewed it as, like, one complete package. Whereas, Saving Private Ryan is, that opening scene is so compelling, but there's some other things that are problematic in the movie, which were brought up in the argument.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, Sam won the point.
Yep.
So this is kind of a tough question to rank because it's so broad, choosing the best film from a particular year and not necessarily narrowing it down to just that one year. If it was just choosing one year and all the contestants had to go with something from that year, it might be a little easier.
Yeah, but there's a lot of movies in that scope of
that scope of five disparate years. And so we have to really decide, is Die Hard the best film of 1988 versus what were some other choices Sam could have made? He said there was a lot of different choices.
And it's true, because 88 was in general a great year for movies.
Yes, things like Beetlejuice and Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out.
Coming to America. This was a year that, like, modern classics, I guess we could call them, at least to people like us.
Yeah.
That care about this collection of movies that aren't necessarily award winners. All of them, but still fantastic movies nonetheless.
So picking Die Hard when we have all these great movies, what would you rank it?
It's really hard to say. I would probably go with like a 5 because there are so many other movies I personally would pick over Die Hard. If I had to go with a couple off the top of my head, Oliver and Company, the second Hellraiser movie, even though Die Hard is empirically a better movie. I really like the second Hellraiser movie. Scrooged is on this list, which is arguably a better Christmas movie because it's what I enjoy, modern takes on classics.
Yeah, I'd probably rank it maybe like 7 out of 10 because there are different movies that I would have gone with first. Definitely Who Framed Roger Rabbit or Coming to America or Land Before Time.
But it's still a fantastic movie.
So with that, let's go ahead and check on Twitter.
Yep. So our BFF question for this time around was, 'tis the season. And we want to know what your favorite Christmas movies were. Or other winter holiday.
Yeah, other winter holiday.
Yeah.
Because Die Hard is considered a Christmas movie. So.
Christmas classic. Samuel Catlin at Sister Mary Elephant said Muppet Christmas Carol. And yes, it is possibly the best rendition of that story.
Jeannine LC at Jeannine DeBean had several on her list. The Long Kiss Goodnight, which you can watch an episode of on the DVD Bunker.
Yep.
That dropped the other day.
It did.
The Santa Claus, Love Actually,
yep.
The Holiday, Die Hard, Scrooge, Elf, and she also likes binging Harry Potter.
Hamza Juicer at Hamza Juicer says Bad Santa. Great choice.
I want to see the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Monroe at MM Koch 200 said he always loved the Mickey's Christmas Carol.
It's good.
I love that one growing up. In fact, I used to have a VHS tape that had 6 hours of Christmas specials on it that had that and a bunch of other ones from various like Disney productions that I watched every day. Every day. My parents and
like
my
June
sister.
Or July.
Yes, they're like, why have we not burned this tape yet? It was like, well, because she loves it and it makes her happy. Every day I watched that. And yeah, the Mickey's Christmas Carol, there's some really scary stuff in that one, too. Like, I remember being genuinely afraid, so...
I think Muppet Christmas Carol does that pretty well, too.
Yeah.
Kimber Barrett at SJ Plus Junkie says Muppet Christmas Carol. Love it. Watch it every year. We keep it in our hearts every year.
Of course.
Just like Christmas.
Delisha Russell at Delisha Renee said Christmas Vacation, the Potter movies, and all movies that came on ABC Family.
Billy Pollahan at B-Buster Bill says Joe X Noel.
Joyeux Noel. It's French, I think. Or
interesting. I've never heard of it. A Christmas Story, It's a Wonderful Life, A Christmas Carol, the animated Disney version, and of course Elf. I'm seeing like a light amount of Muppet Christmas Carol here, and it's a bit upsetting, but it's okay because these are all fantastic movies, and the season is about love and caring and trusting your fellow man to do the right thing.
Joyeux Noel is about the armistice that happened on Christmas Day between the Germans and the Allied forces versus the enemy, I think in like World War One.
Okay.
I want to say it was in World War One that happened.
That's interesting.
Yes, yeah, they basically had a ceasefire and they played together and exchanged pleasantries and then went back to their trench warfare afterwards.
Who said World War One was the bloodiest war ever? Everyone says that. It's terrible.
Yes, terrible stuff.
But that is a fantastic story.
Yeah, I think that's a French film. It might be in German. I don't know. We'll double check that. Raul Rodriguez Vader at Raul Vader RRDZ said Arthur Christmas, Krampus, both Home Alone movies that star Macaulay Culkin. We don't count the other ones. Grinch, both movies. So the cartoon and the Jim Carrey one. Mm-hmm. Scrooge, The Holiday, and A Christmas Carol.
That's a big list.
Lots of stuff.
It's a good list.
Yes. I love Home Alone 1 and 2. I think Home Alone 1 is more of a Christmas classic than the sequel.
Yeah. The second one still is really good.
Yes. Michael Bates at Pygmy_Warrior said, A Christmas Story is not only the most Christmassy choice, but it is a timeless family film I relate to even as a non-American.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah, Christmas Story. It used to not be very popular until I think TBS started playing it 24 hours.
On Christmas Day.
Yeah, but before that, it had kind of been like a forgotten movie.
Yep.
That's definitely one that I like to watch at Christmas time.
It's my mom's favorite Christmas movie, I believe. Jonathan Peck at JPEC10898, sorry, butchering your name there, bud, says Home Alone 1 and 2, Elf, Lethal Weapon. That's a Christmas movie?
I've never seen Lethal Weapon.
It's been forever.
So I don't know.
The Santa Claus, Frozen, Wonderful Life. Wonderful Life is a guilty pleasure. Oh, I'm sorry. And the guilty pleasure is The Grinch 2000, the Jim Carrey one.
I can see that because it does not have a very high rating amongst older people.
No.
I love The Santa Claus. That's a great movie. I even like the first sequel to The Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. And I've never really thought of Frozen as a Christmas movie.
It's a wintry movie.
But yeah, like wintry, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So Morgan Robinson at The Purple Dawn says, It's a Wonderful Life. He watches it once a year. And the most gloriously emotional film. Also, shout out to Scrooge from 1970, the musical. I haven't seen that. That's interesting. I love musicals.
Brian Hurst at Hercules said A Christmas Story, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and Scrooged.
Scrooged is good.
Well, that's it for Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for this episode.
It's been fun. And
yes.
I hope, Santa, wherever you are, you enjoyed this review. Thank you for renting this movie for us.
Yes, thank you, Santa. And thank you, everyone that's watched this show, tweeted at us, liked our videos, talked to us on Twitter. We really love keeping up with all the people that enjoy this. Mm-hmm. We do this because
it's fun.
It's fun. We like talking to each other, but we like talking to you guys as well. Mm-hmm. And if you want to continue the conversation, you can leave a comment in the video or tweet at us. I'm at @_Mrs. Davis.
And I'm at Drake Masters.
We hope that you have a wonderful holiday, no matter what holiday you're celebrating this season.
Or even if you don't.
Yeah.
Just have a great time.
A Festivus for the rest of us.
There you go.
Hopefully you got to air your grievances.
Or at least have an enjoyable 25th of December.
Yes.
At the very least. And have a safe and fun New Year.
Yeah.
Because, that's important.
Yes, and we'll see you in the new year.
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye. There you go.
What?
I told you I had powers.
Oh, my head hurts.
Do you want makeup too?
No. No. Too far.
Too far?
Too far.
Not even a little lipstick?
Nope.
Timothy let me put lipstick on him.